Hey everybody, and welcome to our first live session here in 2021. Super excited to sit down with Doug. We just wanted to take the time right now in July as we approach August and approach the fall, just to talk about everything that is going on with Catalyst Missions right now, what is happening all across the globe. We just want to hear from Doug, just from his perspective, just about what's happening in the field, what is planned for the rest of the year, what has happened already in the spring and the beginning of the summer. So Doug, super excited to take the time to just sit down and talk to you about this. So I'm just going to give you the floor, open it up. Where are we currently right now? What is happening right now in the summer of 2021 for Catalyst Missions? Just give us an update.
Yeah, well, so glad to be able to get on here and give everybody an update, and glad for some normalcy, right? I mean, we're getting back to a little bit of normalcy with regard to what we're able to do, and just excited for things that are going on. Maybe I could do sort of a 30,000-foot view and a flyby of some stuff that's recently happened, because there has been some very exciting stuff that's happened recently. So I'll start with down in Central and South America, just talk about a few things that are happening. So right now, as we speak, there is a training that's happening out in the Bolivian jungle in a place called Galilea, which is with a fairly new training group. We have women's discipleship going on, as well as pastor training that's going on there. Now, that's in the extreme northern part of Bolivia. Okay. It's literally in the jungle, working with a group called the Cavineños. And this is exciting because we graduated our first group that we were working with among the Cavineños, and they said, we really need you to keep working with a new group here that's going to continue to strengthen the churches and provide us with local leadership that's going to be able to multiply the gospel here, faithful, healthy churches, and then beyond. Because this is a place where there are literally unreached people groups. So unreached people groups.
This is on the border, right?
It's right on the border with Bolivia and Brazil. And it's hard to think about this in South America, but there are literally pockets of unreached peoples who literally, communities that have not been touched with the gospel of Jesus right there. So we're hoping that as we're continuing training, churches become healthy, and the gospel will go forth from them to the unreached. And some other exciting stuff happening in Bolivia. One of our graduates, one of our students has started working among the Quechua and Aymara people. Now, this is on the other side of Bolivia, near La Paz, so Andes Mountain area. And he's opened up a training site among them, and that's also started. And then we have a new group that's going among a place, it's called the Beni Department, where we had a group that graduated, and now we have a new group that's going there. So some really exciting stuff happening in Bolivia, exciting stuff happening in Colombia as well. We're, Lord willing, going to be opening up this new site in a place called Casanare, and that's going to be happening pretty soon as well. We have some on-ground contacts, and we sent our regional coordinator there to start setting it up. So, okay, so it's been difficult. We were going to travel to Bolivia, and right when we were about to travel there, I looked at the embassy site, and Bolivia instituted a 10-day quarantine for travelers. You get there, you quarantine for 10 days. So that cut off our trip from going there, so some obstacles. But because of the way that Catalyst works, and we have on-ground leadership that is entrusted with the work, they could continue to go forward and continue to do it. So that's happening in Bolivia and Colombia, and Lord willing, we're going to be there very soon as things continue to open up. Now, what I'm really excited about that. Really excited to talk about what's happened in Nicaragua. So maybe a bit of a story would help to sort of give some insight on why we couldn't be there, but what happened anyway. So, look, God's sovereign. He knows what's happening. We're on the plane. This is 2 weeks ago. We're on the plane headed down from Memphis. We go to Atlanta, then later to Miami. Because of travel stuff, there's not as many flights. We have to book with a Latin American airline from Miami to Managua. And we're in the air from Atlanta to Miami. All of a sudden, there's a storm, closes the Miami airport. We get there. Oh, you missed your flight. Oh, you can't get the next flight. And we really ran out of options. And so we said, well, maybe we can go the next day to Managua, because we really wanted to be there. This was the last training with this group that we've been working with for almost 4 years, really. So we were going to graduate them. So we're bummed. We're sitting in the airport, and we said, well, maybe we can travel the next day, but then you're outside of the COVID window. So we'd have to be retested to go. And it was like, oh, my goodness. So we said, no, let's go back home. and let's do the training online. And I just want to praise the Lord for the great technology. The technology allows us to do stuff like this, where we can literally connect and have a clear enough signal that it's just like where they're teaching them. So we did that, and we walked through the last module, and it was such an awesome celebration to see these men and these women that we've been working with for 4 years, to see them graduate. And it was such a big deal for them, and it was such a big deal for us because, listen, these students are representing churches all across Nicaragua. And it's exciting to see what's going to happen. What I'm really excited about is that one of the guys who went with us, he has a huge discount with FedEx. And so we're sending tons of theological resources that we were planning to take to them, but couldn't. But the Lord is still giving us a way to do that. So we're excited about that. We're going to continue to put resources in their hands. We're going to do a follow-up conference just for strengthening one time a year with these students. And we're starting with a new group in December. So we're excited about the possibilities of everything that's happening in Central and South America. And we posted some pictures on social about the graduation. It was just, I don't know. We got to figure out how to do this sometime. Yeah. But we got to figure out how to get more people in there just to see the ceremony, to see what this means to them. We did the same thing with another one of our sites in Bolivia where they graduated, and literally the whole city got invited in. This is like, this is like political officials.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, to talk about the energy. Yeah, the energy around this graduation.
It's such a big deal, man. And they were. They had, special food and the big banner, and they even took a picture together around us as we were on the screen with them. And we couldn't be there. It really was painful for all of us not to be there, but it was such a great opportunity to see how excited they were and what this has meant to them. What it meant to them. It really is awesome.
4 years coming, right?
4 years. Yeah. Of heavy investment. Like, this is not just sort of a light deal. This was a heavy investment in their lives, knowing them, knowing their families, knowing their churches, knowing what's going on, and just seeing them. And it's in a difficult situation. Nicaragua is not an easy place. Neither is Bolivia, neither is Colombia. But the Lord continues to work. And one of the great things is, so as we look towards December, I've been working with a pastor in Cuba, and there's a possibility of opening up a new site in Cuba, and we've had some women's disciples as well in Peru. So God continues to open doors. There's obstacles, but He continues to open doors. So I said I was going to do 30,000 foot view. That was not 30,000 foot view. We came down a little bit, so sorry about that. But I'd like to say something about West Africa and then South Asia. In West Africa, recently, our national coordinator in the Ivory Coast, James, took a trip. Look, this guy's a modern-day Apostle Paul, okay? He takes a trip from the Ivory Coast to Mali, sets up a new training site in Mali. He's been working with this guy there, and then goes to Senegal. There's 2 different countries, and he's traveling there by bus. This is like 2 days on a West African bus one way. And so he gets to Mali, he does the training, sets up a group there, gets to Senegal, does the training, sets up a group there. Again, this goes to the vision and mission of Catalyst, where you have this guy is like the fourth field or the fourth soil that Jesus talks about. It's just producing this harvest. So that's awesome. Expansion into 2 other countries. He's going to be doing a training in Abidjan and a fairly new site we have there as well. Julie, our regional coordinator for women's discipleship in Ivory Coast, is doing great. She's multiplying, and we just had a team come back from Nigeria. We can travel, praise God. We can't get to Central America for some reason, but we can get to West Africa, which is a little crazy. But soon we're going to be offering up. I want to get the guys here who just got back from Nigeria to talk about the persecuted church. These are folks who said, this is one pastor, I'll give a little teaser, but this is one pastor they were talking to that said, we'd rather die than convert. We'd rather go through persecution that would lead to our death than convert and save our lives here. And there's some serious persecution that's happening, and the gospel is going forth there like mad. So grateful for the work in West Africa. You're talking about Mali, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Nigeria. God's just doing fantastic work. In Nepal and India, just open doors there in the South Asia project. We have done online training in Nepal. Going to do with our women's group. We're going to do an online training with our pastor cohort coming up in September. Lord willing, travel there in January of next year. And then also in India, a couple of ladies on the ground doing great work multiplying, and we've got a couple of guys that we're working with right now looking towards 2022. So it's really an exciting time. There are obstacles. There have been obstacles to travel, but I don't know. There's not been a time in my time with Catalyst, which is almost 7 years, where I've been more excited about the work that's happening on the ground. And we have a great team in place. And so here's an opportunity to plug. This guy does great work. Trent Irwin, awesome work. Grateful for you. Grateful for our staff and project leaders here who are working with our regional coordinators on the field. There's not been a better time, honestly, in all my time with Catalyst than right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic to hear all the stories, everything that's happening globally. New projects like in India and in Nepal. I mean, relatively new that are in India and Nepal. Real quick, I did want to touch on something real quick. I know we've shared a little bit about, you were talking about James in West Africa. If you would just share real quick, just for those who maybe are new, don't know who James is, don't know what's going on in West Africa, and finding a person like that, just give a quick recap of just James's story and who he is.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's a great reminder, and it's again, this is one of those things that you want everybody to know. So I'll take back real quick, and I can probably tell the story in a couple of minutes. But James contacts me by email in 2016 out of the blue. So this is December. I remember I was in Houston. I get this email from this guy. He says, "Hey man, I know you're a training ministry." I still am not super sure how he found us, but nonetheless, God connected us. So he emails, "Hey man, I need training. I'm a young pastor. Can you help me?" I said, "Well, we can't travel there right now, but I'll be happy to meet with you online." And so we start meeting online, and man, this guy for a solid year meets with me online every single week, doesn't ask for anything, just training, and he's multiplying it. I mean, immediately multiplying it. So we're like, man, this is a God-prepared guy. So we said, let's take a vision trip there. We take a vision trip. We set up a training site in Yamoussoukro, and since then, after that year of working with him and saying this guy's on the same page with us theologically, he's on the same page with us as far as mission goes. After doing that for about a year, we go, and since then, we've graduated the group in Yamoussoukro. So big praise there. And then he's opened up sites in 4 other places in Ivory Coast and then 2 other countries. And so this is how it works. Not everybody's like that, okay? But when the Lord leads you to somebody that is a fourth soil person like James, he just runs with it. We have to slow him down. We have to say, okay, you have to stop. Like you can't, no more right now. And so we're really excited about the work that he's doing. And in Nigeria, we're looking towards a graduation in November, and then Lord willing, bringing on some other coordinators there in another place. So multiplication, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Phenomenal story, one that I've heard you tell in the past, and just something I don't want anybody to miss, about those who are on the ground really doing this work day to day, like you said, or riding on buses for hours and days on end to make sure the gospel is spread. I know here in a few minutes or a few moments, we want to bring Bryan in and talk. What specifically would you like Bryan to just kind of share for everybody in terms of organization and what's going on kind of behind the scenes?
Yeah, well, mainly, what's the impact of the giving towards Catalyst? How's it being utilized, and how's it helping the work on the field continue forward? We want to be really good stewards of the money that God is blessing us with through churches, through individuals, and it'd be great just to get an update on what's the impact of it? Where are we right now? We're 7 months into the year. Where are we headed? And just excited about how the Lord is sustaining his ministry. If I'm not, I could be totally mistaken, but I'm going to try not to butcher this quote. But I think it's Hudson Taylor who said, God's work done God's way will never lack God's supply. Right. And so as we're just trusting him, and we're amazed to see how he continues to provide for his work. So I pray this prayer constantly. I say, God, whatever you want us to do, for whatever you want us to do, give us whatever we need to do it. That's it. So just give us whatever you want us to have in order to do what you want us to do. And so we're excited about that. As far as project updates for the rest of the year, stay tuned, guys. There's so much going on, and we're going to travel if we can. Again, we can get teams to Africa, apparently. Central South America seems to be more difficult, as well as South Asia. But we're going to be traveling as soon as possible and would love for people to be involved in that. And
how can people get involved in travel?
Yeah, there's easy ways to onboard if you just go to our website and you can check out all the project pages. By the way, we have a new website, so that's exciting. Go to the website, check out the project pages. You've got all the project information there, and then you've got even the project dates that we're targeting. And if you're interested in that, we have trips that we've already set up. You can click on the hyperlink, go apply, and go with it that way. And we try to make it as easy as possible to onboard for churches and individuals that want to travel and go with us to train.
Absolutely. Great.
Yeah.
Doug, anything else before we bring Bryan in? Sure.
Yeah, just pray. Just pray. I mean, Paul asked in Colossians 4 and Ephesians 6, among other places, that the church pray for the work that he was doing. Catalyst partners to equip churches because we believe that God's answer to the mission is through the church. So we want to bless the church on the field in the global south by training up healthy pastors and leaders, but we want to involve the church here to mobilize the church and give them an onboard ramp. And part of that onboard ramp is praying. Lead the church to pray for missions. I think it's one of the best things you can do for your church. It's obviously one of the best things you can do as an individual. Pray, and I'll put out again on social the app that we've developed that actually you can subscribe to and get prayer requests on a frequent basis. But just pray for the ministry. Pray that God would continue to open the doors and that he'd give us the boldness to proclaim the mystery of Christ.
Amen, amen. All right, so we are going to, real quick, just give us a few seconds as we switch over. We're going to shove Doug out of here, and we're going to bring Bryan in and get an update from Bryan's perspective and everything he does with the organization behind the scenes. So just give us a few seconds as we bring Bryan in.
Awesome.
All right, so we've got Doug out of here and Bryan in, and one of the things that we want to talk about specifically, Bryan, is just how are the funds used? So funds that are given to Catalyst, how are those funds being applied to the work that is happening in the field?
Yeah, so we have, I've always had two general umbrellas for all of our funding. If you go online to our website and look at donations, you have an opportunity to give to the general fund, and then you have an opportunity to give to one of a number of project funds. Okay. So we've always kind of walled those off. So our general fund supports our general operating expenses here stateside, supports our very limited staff and the limited overhead that we have to support the whole organization. Project funds support the work on the field, and so one of the things we've always promoted is if you give to any project fund, 100% of what you give goes to work in that region, in that indigenous country that we're working in. So that's generally how we break them up.
Absolutely. And then I know one of the things that we wanted to talk about is Doug, what was it? Funding for West Africa?
Yeah.
So Brian, if you'll just give us an update on that.
Yeah, so all of our project funds support, like I said, the work on the field. They support the training for the pastors, hosting training sites. They help support travel for key personnel to go there and lead teams. They don't support the whole teams, but the key people to go and lead the training there, and our regional coordinators who live there. Now, as an example, in West Africa, that project fund supports work in multiple countries. It supports the stipend that we give Pastor James.
Senegal, Ivory Coast,
Mali, and Nigeria. And Doug shared about Pastor James and the work he does, and that supports his stipend. And then it also, supports the getting there, and that's specifically been a new challenge as we've kind of come back from COVID, and that's one of the areas, we could say as we look to come back from COVID and travel more. Travel is different now, and it's more expensive now. We have canceled flights that we always can't recoup that cost money. In Nigeria specifically, the visa process, we used to could send by mail and get a visa, and now the people that we send have to go to Los Angeles to get their visa. So that's a big, we have to travel to Los Angeles to get the visa and then return. So that's before you go overseas. So you can imagine the cost increase of what used to be an overnight FedEx to Washington is now a physical flight traveling to Los Angeles. So for that reason, the cost of that project is going up and escalating, and also the cost is going up because Pastor James is expanding our reach there. So that's a project we're specifically soliciting and pushing and hoping to see grow to support that work.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's great to one, just hear behind the scenes of what's going on. The pandemic has changed everything for everybody, every industry, every organization, nonprofits alike. So it's really good for us to know that things like that in order to go to Nigeria and get visas, you have this extra step in the process that requires more money. So just the transparency around that of why a project costs may increase, it's because of things like that. We're having to adapt, we're having to change, and just work with new steps that are involved, and that just requires additional funding. So Brian, is there anything else that we'd like to update the Catalyst family on today?
Yeah, absolutely. There's, I think, two specific things. One, the main thing I'd want to say is just thank you to everyone who is a supporter of Catalyst. Thank you so much. We have had, especially in our general fund, which supports our operations here, a record year. And I just think that's been amazing. And Doug, I think, would second this, coming back from COVID, not knowing what to expect, not even really knowing how to budget. To have a record year, that's been phenomenal. And so we're so thankful for that. And a second thing is, one of the things that's allowed us to do is move forward with bringing on Nathan Sawyer in his role as a project development coordinator. And if I could just speak to that a minute and explain, like, one of the rich parts of that is as project development coordinator. So we have the work we're doing on the field, but we also have this ministry to churches here. We want to connect churches here to what we're doing on the field. And so Nathan's role as project development coordinator is serving both to develop the projects going on overseas, but also to work with both existing churches here that are supporting those projects, and also help onboard new churches to bring stories back from the field, share what we're doing there, and let people here know those untold stories. And also to, raise support here that can help us over there. So I kind of like to think of the churches here are the root that bear the fruit of the ministry that's overseas and that we're doing in the work all around the world.
Right. And it's absolutely crucial to have somebody like Nathan who's doing no small task and doing that work, just because it is so important that what we have been blessed with here in the States, to be able to, like you said, to be the root, to be the catalyst for reaching unreached groups like in Bolivia, and then reaching groups that just need that support, not only the morale, but need the funding to be able to go forth and make disciples of all nations. So Yeah, I think it's been terrific to be able to just take a moment right now in the middle of 2021 to update you all on what's been going on behind the scenes at Catalyst. Like Doug said, it's been kind of a weird and crazy start to the beginning of the year, as it has been for most people. Just a lot of questions, a lot of wanting to be on the field, especially for graduations and things like that, but having issues because of travel and the weirdness that travel is right now. So, and then thank you again, Bryan, for coming in and updating us on the funding, where that funding is going, having a record year, which is just phenomenal, that just God continues to provide for the mission, and we are just, again, trusting and believing in Him to provide what He wants to provide so that we can do the work that He wants us to do. So thank you, Doug. Thank you, Bryan. And thank you all for listening in and watching in today. If you guys have any questions or anything that you would like us to cover in future sessions, please don't hesitate to let us know. We will also be making additional videos. That's something that obviously I'm going to be working with Doug on here soon. We want to get over to West Africa, whenever we can at some point, to provide more coverage, to get more photos, to get more videos, to get more interviews and testimonies of what's going on over there so that we can bring that back home to all of you. So again, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for allowing us to just share this with you.